So I'm back to trying to catch up on some of the 2016 releases that I want to cram into my viewing before I do my end of the year lists. I always publish those on the January 1st because I believe an end of the year list should be at the end of the year. And thankfully I don't write for anybody, so I just do what I want. That's my life motto, actually. I just do what I want. So tonight I finally watched Ava DuVernay's 13th, which premiered when I was in Italy, and so I didn't see it on the first day, and then I kept not seeing it, and then I was like, it's gonna make me sad, and so I'm not gonna watch it. But since then I've watched two other really big sort of documentaries on similar topics, that being the Henry Louis Gates Jr. PBS one and the one I watched yesterday, the O.J. Simpson one, and I was like, okay, shit, if I can watch like 6 and 8 hour documentaries, I can sit down and watch this, 100-minute one. Like, I can do this. So I finally watched it. It did make me just as upset as I thought it would. There's a particular moment where she, contrasts images of racial violence from the civil rights era with some actual quotations from Trump's horrifying rallies. And it's terrifying. And this was terrifying on October 7th, and that was a month before we knew how terrifying things were going to be. And so now watching it, 2 months into the game and a month after the election, and it's just made it even more terrifying because this documentary is about institutionalized racism and how the institutionalized racism in America has found itself in the prison industrial complex, and how that prison industrial complex was built upon the criminalization of Black people in order to basically keep post-slavery sort of status of the country. And it makes a really good argument showing how we have gotten from where we were just 40 years ago to where we are now with 2.3 million prisoners in prison. And really great look at policy and why that's so important, and why it's a lot of this is done through policy making and subtle, and the policies get made by ways in which voters are sort of herded towards certain candidates who then will do this policy. And the documentary is way more brilliant than I could explain it. You should watch it. It's well made. It uses archival footage. Makes you gonna hate Nixon more than we already all hate Nixon. And the Southern Strategy explains it really well, actually. Like, you don't even need to read the whole Wikipedia article anymore. You can just watch this and you'll completely understand that whole phenomenon. It also has, like, so many great experts talking about policy and about their experiences as one-time prisoners and all kinds of things. It's just so wonderfully made. And surprisingly, there's some moments with Newt Gingrich where you're like, you're not actually always terrible? What? It's kind of interesting to, like, it was like maybe the only time in my entire life where I saw Newt Gingrich and didn't want to punch him in the face. So that says something as a filmmaker, that she could, like, make me not want to punch Newt Gingrich in the face. So this is on Netflix, obviously. It's great. It's 100 minutes. It's got a lot to say, and it does it really well, and it gives you a lot of, at least for me, it gave me a lot of things that I want to now look up. And I've already read so many books on so many topics, and every time I watch a new documentary, I have like 10 new books that I need to go and read. So my reading list is very high for next year, and if you follow my Twitter, there's going to be a lot. It's going to seem like I'm taking like a college course, but really it's cheaper to just read. I'm doing like the Goodwill Hunting version of a college course in that I already have too many student loans and I can't go back to school, so I'm just reading a lot of books on subjects. There's this brilliant woman, she's not in this documentary, but there's this brilliant woman named Carol Anderson who works at Emory here, and she wrote a book called White Rage. And I've read the essay that the book is based on, but I haven't bought the book yet. But she's great, and I wish I could take classes with her. I need to figure out how to do that. She's here in Atlanta. I'm going to figure this out somehow. I don't know. I think policy is really important, and I think understanding how policy affects us as a society is really important. And I think policy is one of the few things that we do not teach. You have to like go into policy to really understand how policy works and how it affects us. Or you have to read books on sociology and socioeconomics to understand how policy actually affects people day to day. And it's so unfortunate that people vote out of fear and anger and misinformation and don't understand the policies that they're voting for, or the people that they're voting into office who then will enact policies that don't need to be voted on. And it's, I think, a big misstep in American education is our lack of teaching policy. I remember my civics class, it was like pointless and taught a lot of things that I don't think were important and didn't teach a lot of things that were important. And it's kind of a bummer. But the bulk of what I'm slowly realizing, and lots of people are, is that the entire foundation of how we function as a society is built on not good. It's not a good foundation, and it needs to be rebuilt, and we're having trouble getting that done. And this film posits like how difficult that is to completely redo a situation and to completely redo a society, and that it might not be possible. And that's sort of terrifying. So, and yes, I am wearing my Yes Hillary shirt. It's one of my favorite nightgowns. And I'll just, not that I think she would have, like, been the greatest president ever, but she would have been a much better president than the one we're getting. So, yes, I just got very political here into this video. So anyways, this is the 13th. It's from 2016. It's directed by Ava DuVernay. You should watch it. It's on Netflix. It's about 100 minutes long. It's really, really good. Have a good night.